If you want to score a 95th percentile on the GMAT Focus, you do not need to be perfect at data insights. In fact, you don't even need to be great at it. When I got my 95th percentile score, my verbal was 88, my quant was 83, but my DI score was 79. It was my weakest section, but here is the secret. Getting a 79 in DI isn't about solving every complex logic puzzle. It's about damage control. The GMAT uses multi-source reasoning questions, those massive walls of text, with 3 different tabs to drain your clock and panic you. And if you let MSR drag you down, you will tank your entire exam. So, today, I am going to show you the exact strategy I used to survive MSR. I'm going to share my screen, walk through a real problem, and show you how to find the answers without actually reading all the data. Let's get into it. Alright, so the biggest mistake people make with MSR is treating it like a math test. They immediately start looking at the tables, the numbers, the charts, trying to calculate everything. Don't do that. Treat MSR like reading comp. When you open an MSR prompt, you are not there to learn about a fictional company's budget. You are on a scavenger hunt. I call this the indexing method. You spend the first 45 seconds just clicking through the 3 tabs to build a mental map where the information lives. Tab 1 usually has the rules, tab 2 usually has the raw data, and tab 3 usually has exceptions on an email chain. Don't read them. You just tag them in your brain so when a question asks about a specific rule, you know exactly which tab to jump to. Alright, let's get into it. Alright, here is the MSR problem. This is exactly what you'll see on test day. 3 tabs, a wall of text, and a ticking clock. Remember my indexing method. We are not going to read this, we are going to map it. So I'm going to put print screens of the actual problem so it's easier for you to follow along. Tab 1. So we have the discussion. I read the first sentence. West River Glen is deciding which network architecture should replace its old lines. I skim the next paragraph. It's comparing to options FTTH and HFC. I note that FTTH has a better bandwidth, but HFC is a cheaper upfront. Done. I'm not memorizing this. Tab 2 now, initial costs. Look at this table. The GMAT gives you numbers down to the exact cent, like 12,273.93. This is a psychological trap. Do not start calculating. Just note, these tabs hold the specific cost breakdown. Done. Let's go to the next one. Tab 3. So cumulative cost. It's a graph. I take 10 seconds to read the axis. The dotted blue line is HFC. The solid black is FTTH. And HFC starts cheaper but gets expensive over time. They cross right around year 16. Done. My mental map is built and that took me barely 45 seconds. Let's read the questions now. So it asks, which of the following attributes is an advantage of HFC? Yeah. Let's look at the answer choices. 2 of them mention exact percentages. So 2 of them mention the exact numbers. 95% lower internal equipment costs and 90% lower customer installation costs. Since this is about specific costs, my mental map tells me to jump straight to tab 2. So let's look at tab 2. Here is where the damage control strategy comes in. If you pull out this on-screen calculator here, you lose. We are going to estimate. Let's check. Internal equipment costs. HFC is around $820. FTTH is about $16,100. Let's round that to the 816,000. Alright, so 800 is exactly 5% of 16,000. If HFC is 5% of the cost, that means it is 95th% lower. There is our answer. So we found it in 30 seconds with just mental basic math. Let's look now at this table question. Alright, so this is where people panic because it feels like 3 questions in one, but with our map, it's a breeze. Alright, so statement 1. If the town only considers cost over the first 10 years, FTTH is the best. All right, so automatically what my brain thinks is over time is graph, so I just go to the tab 3. We go to the tab 3. So at year 10, the dotted line for HFC is lower than the black line for FTTH. So HFC is cheaper, FTTH is not the best. I mark not supported. All right. Next one, statement 2. All right, so over the first 20 years, FTTH is the best. All right, let's go back to the graph. At year 20, the black line for FTTH is lower, is cheaper, so yeah, it's supported. Statement 3, if cost is not considered, the FTTH option is the best. All right, so here what my brain would think and what's already thinking is it's not about the cost, so it must be text. So we just go back to tab 1. All right, so paragraph 2 here says that FTTH has greater bandwidth capabilities and less signal loss. Yes, so that's basically better technology, so I mark supported. All right, guys, so just notice what I just did. I didn't even read like every word. I didn't use the calculator. I used the tabs exactly how a high-level executive would. That's what the GMAT wants you to do. So we just found out here what the data lived. We found where the data was. We mapped it inside our brains, and then when the question came, we knew where the information was, and we could get way more detail about everything. So yeah, if you do it just like me, data insights was the third section. That's why I got such a lower score, because on my mock site I was getting like 97th percentile. So here you just want to do like damage control. So to do that, you do exactly what I just did, and I think you will get on really well with the exercises. All right, so now let's talk about something else, because sometimes you just cannot go through the MSR question. Either you are burned out or your brain just not function. It's something that just happens, so you cannot control it. So all right, so the first two questions of the MSR usually are logic based, and they can just be solved quickly through the indexing method. But the third question, as we just saw, the GMAT just loves to make it in a way that just seems like a calculation nightmare. And you just need cross-reference all the three tabs and try to estimate everything as much as you possibly can, because going to the on-screen calculator is going to just make you lose a lot of time. And if you spend 4 minutes on a DI question, the whole section is basically almost lost if you want to get like a D83 or something along the lines of that. So yeah. So all right, guys. So data insight is tough, but it doesn't have to be the section that ruins your GMAT score. As you saw here, I got a 95th percentile, a 675 score. I got a V88, was the best section, but it was also the one where I was like the freshest, because it was the first. Then I did quant because I still needed to be focused. And then DI was the one that I felt I was the most prepared, and ended up being the worst section of the whole GMAT. So the third section, I will advise you that to be something, don't put your best section at the third place, because the third section is only going to be a damage control one. So that's basically it. Guys, if you want, there's a code down where I did my course on eGMAT. And if you want like personalized help, I'm also here. Just drop your comment and I'll get to it as soon as I possibly can. Thank you guys for being there. Subscribe, it means the world to me. And see you soon.